Today I'll be reviewing the FetHead from Triton Audio. So what is the FetHead? The FetHead is an inline preamp, and you place it into your signal chain directly after your mic cable and before your audio interface. There are alternatives that do similar things. There are other inline preamps like the Cloudlifter, which I have used before, and it's a very good product. It does a great job. But I just prefer the convenience and the build quality and the design of the FetHead. I'll go into that in more detail a bit later in the review. The FetHead is a phantom-powered inline preamp, so what that means is you must give it phantom power in order for it to function. Most audio interfaces have onboard phantom power, and that would work just fine. The FetHead needs phantom power in order to provide the additional 20 dB of gain, and it adds this gain without introducing any substantial noise to your signal. In my testing, I was unable to hear any artifacts or noise at all, so if the FetHead does technically add noise, it exists well below audible range. Overall, the FetHead works great. You can safely rest assured that when you engage phantom power, you will not be damaging your ribbon or dynamic microphones. In my opinion, the FetHead is a fantastic product. It's a game changer if you're a home studio enthusiast, or even if you have a small studio and you need to make the most of what you have in your mic locker. This inline preamp really does revitalize all of your dynamic and ribbon microphones. It really brings your signal up close and in your face without any noise or any unwanted side effects whatsoever. The FetHead does one thing, and it does that one thing great. Earlier in this review, I mentioned the Cloudlifter as an alternative to the FetHead, and although both products perform the same task, the Cloudlifter is a little different. When I was testing the Cloudlifter, I noticed that it offered a little more gain over the FetHead. I was able to get about 5 dB more gain out of the Cloudlifter, but to be honest, that is not enough to make me prefer it over the FetHead. That extra 5 dB might be great for someone who truly needs that boost, which I don't currently, and those of you who are wanting to get the most gain for your money might be tempted to go with the Cloudlifter because you do get pretty close to 25 dB versus the FetHead's 20 dB. However, in my workflow, the main reason why I prefer the FetHead over the Cloudlifter is that the FetHead is a simple, one-cable, plug-and-play type piece of gear rather than having to use 2 XLR cables for one signal or one microphone. Using the Cloudlifter, keep in mind, you'll need 2 XLR cables for every one mic you're using with the inline preamp. You need to plug in one XLR cable from your preamp or interface into one side of the Cloudlifter, and also carry a secondary cable with you in order to then connect the Cloudlifter into the actual microphone itself. That's the only real difference between the two products, other than the slight difference in total gain offered. So if you like the idea of squeezing a few more dBs of gain, and you also don't mind the extra XLR cable you need, then definitely check out the Cloudlifter. It's a great piece of gear, it's just not for me and my workflow. If you do want to compare these two products, there's a video over on Ronan's channel. He did a great in-depth comparison between the two, so check out the video for more information. I put a link in the description. In my opinion, a big selling point for the FetHead is the convenience and the flexibility. You just snap it into your mic and you're ready to go. The FetHead sounds fantastic. Super clean, in your face gain. That's all it does. No coloring of the sound, no noise, no tricks, just clean gain. I can't think of any negatives with using the FetHead. Just plug and play, and it does what it says it will do. The FetHead is configured as a double Class A amplifier, and the Triton Audio website has more information and specs if you're interested in reading up on that. The FetHead uses low noise JFETs, which are extremely quiet. I honestly can't hear any added noise in any real world projects or testing. For those of you who have mics like the SM57 or 58, maybe a Heil PR40 or an AKG D5, and you use these microphones for podcasting or YouTube videos, if you use a FetHead in your signal chain, you no longer will have any gain issues. No longer will you have to crank up your audio interface and suffer with onboard preamp hiss or room noise. If you use a FetHead, you will quickly see that it is a lifesaver. You'll actually have to turn down your SM57 or 58 because it's too loud. But now you'll get the gain you want without any hissing or room noise. Before I bought my FetHead, I used to crank up the gain on my audio interface preamps to around 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock. Once I placed the FetHead in my signal chain, if I put the gain on my audio interface preamps past 9 or 10 o'clock, it gets incredibly loud. In fact, almost too loud to be usable. It's just a ridiculous amount of clean gain. You'll never look back once you start using it. So the FetHead from Triton Audio is for anyone who wants to use their dynamic or ribbon mics and get the best sound possible without having to crank up gain on those audio interfaces. Especially on the budget-friendly, entry-level, and even some mid-level interfaces, you'll get a lot of that nasty noise and hiss when you really start cranking up those onboard preamps. So using the FetHead allows you to add clean gain before it even hits your interface. And this allows you to keep your audio interface preamp gain in the sweet spot without having to crank it up. So right now, this is me talking directly into the PR22 UT dynamic microphone, and this is plugged directly into my quad capture audio interface. Now this is not using the FetHead, and the gain is currently set on the interface to about 11 o'clock. So this is the level that you're going to get directly into your interface. Now let's hear it using the FetHead. Now you're listening to the Heil PR22 UT dynamic microphone, but now it's going through the FetHead into my audio interface. Now the levels are extremely hot, and I'm probably going to clip if I talk any louder, so I can't keep the gain at 11 o'clock anymore. That's how much clean gain this FetHead adds. So let me back it down to about maybe 9 or 10 o'clock. So now I've had to lower the gain on my audio interface because the FetHead provides plenty of clean gain where I don't need to boost my interface as high. So this is a great way to make use of an audio interface and not have to drive those preamps as much. So you get a cleaner, noise-free recording. Just look at the size of the waveform in Reaper, the difference between using a FetHead and not using a FetHead. Just to recap, in order to use the FetHead, you must have phantom power, whether it's from an external device or your interface. Just make sure phantom power is engaged. Otherwise, you won't notice anything. Nothing will happen. I can't think of any good reason why you shouldn't buy at least one FetHead for your studio. You'll never know when you may need it, but when you do need it, the FetHead will be a lifesaver. The 20 dB of clean gain lets you get the most out of your audio interface. If you operate a home studio, a project studio, or do podcasting and YouTube commentaries, this little piece of gear will change your life. So I highly recommend the FetHead. It's a must-buy in my book. It's currently priced at around $96 or $99 US. I hope you enjoyed this review. I've got several other reviews planned for the near future, so please keep an eye out. Also, please leave a comment if you have any suggestions or feedback. Seeing as how this was my first review, hopefully I'll get better from here. Thanks for watching.